With Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes now out and available to watch on digital, all eyes are now on what's next for the franchise. So I thought it would be fun to break down the 5 things that I want to see in the next movie. If you like what I do here and want to share your support, be sure to hit the like button on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so that you can stay up to date on all things apes. Enjoy the video. And welcome to Ape Nation, your #1 source for all things Planet of the Apes on YouTube. My name is Josh, and today I am going over the 5 things that I am hoping to see in Planet of the Apes 5, aka the sequel to Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. There are so many directions that the next movie could take, so many possible stories that could be told with these new characters, but seeing as we don't even know for sure if another movie is happening yet, and I'm not part of the filmmaking team behind it, I obviously know nothing about what we will actually get to see. Still, I have a lot of ideas, and so I wanted to share some of them with you here. So with all of that out of the way, let's get started. The first thing that I want to see in the next Planet of the Apes movie has to do with our lead character, Noah. And the thing that I want to see from Noah most in the next movie is him becoming a leader. This is something that I was kind of hoping would be starting to be built towards at the end of the first movie, and in a way it was. You got to see Noah start to come into his own, start to be a bit more assertive, start to take charge a little bit by the end of the story, but he's still just a member of the clan. He's not yet fully in charge. He's not a full leader of his tribe or of any ape tribe, or at least that we've seen so far. What I really want to see is the next story, put him through the ringer, let him come into his own as the heir apparent to Caesar in this next trilogy, obviously not related to Caesar that we know of, but I want to see him step up to the plate, take on that mantle of sorts, and really become the even more compelling and a little more complex and much more heroic leader that I think he's been set up to be and that I think he can be. And so that is why the first thing I want to see out of the next Planet of the Apes movie is Noah becoming more of a leader. The next thing that I want to see in the next Planet of the Apes movie has to do with the tone. Now, something I really enjoyed about Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes was how it was a bit lighter in tone. It was more of an action adventure kind of movie, and I liked that it had shades of Star Wars: A New Hope. It really tapped into that Joseph Campbell hero's journey. We're off on an adventure kind of tone, and that was so refreshing. It gave the Planet of the Apes series something new, and I think it was a lot of fun to experience that. That being said, now that we've gotten that movie, now that we've gotten that tone out of the way, so to speak, I think now would be a great time to tap into that darkness a bit more, hone in on some of the intensity, and have a bit of a darker tone. I'm not saying go full-on War for the Planet of the Apes or something like that, where it's completely grim and depressing and full of despair and hopelessness, but I think the next movie having a bit darker, a bit more intense of a story, a bit more mature in some ways, and having moments throughout that are a bit more darker in tone compared to some of the darker stuff we got in the first one. And there is some dark stuff in that first one, but compared to some of the dark stuff in that first one that I think could elevate the movie, that I think would feel natural, that I think would be a great way to continue this story. Of course, you could tell a story following the next movie and have it be the same exact tone. You could totally do that and it could totally work. I just think that it would be great to see them continue that Joseph Campbell type of storytelling where the second chapter tends to get a bit darker, if not be the darkest part of the story. So I'm hoping that's the direction they go. It'll all depend on the story that they do tell, but I think having a second chapter go a bit darker, maybe go a bit deeper, and because of going deeper, they do just kind of naturally go darker. I think that would be the, in my opinion, best way forward for the next movie. And that is why the next thing I want to see is the tone get a bit darker for the next Planet of the Apes movie. Then moving on from the tone, the next thing I want to see in the 5th Planet of the Apes movie is a heavier focus on the main trio. And by main trio, I mean Noah, Suna, and Anaya. These are 3 characters that I really loved in Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I thought the relationship that the 3 had together was really fun. I thought there was such a clear, well-realized, well-established, and entertaining bond that you can see brought out through all 3 of them throughout the movie, especially in the beginning of the movie and in the second half. While there isn't a whole lot that we get to see of these 3 characters as a whole, when we do get to see them together, when we do get to see them work together as friends and as allies and as partners, it's really fun, and it's something that I'm excited to see going forward, and I'm hoping that in the next movie they really lean into it. I want these 2 to have bigger roles. themselves. I think Suna and Anaya are a lot of fun on screen. I think the relationship between Noah and Suna is something that could blossom into something romantic potentially. I think the brotherhood between Noah and Anaya is something that is very evocative of stuff we saw with Caesar and Maurice or Caesar and Rocket, and I think it's something that I think could be done even better in the next movie. It's something that I think could be fleshed out a lot in the next movie and given even more depth, and it's also something that could come into play when creating conflict in the story. And so I think having those characters have a more prominent role, I think having that trio get fleshed out a bit more, get more stuff to do, have a bigger role in the story is something that would be great for the next film. And that is why in the next Planet of the Apes movie, I want to see the trio of Noah, Suna, and Anaya get a heavier role and more focus in the story. The next thing I want to see in the next Planet of the Apes movie has to do with the character of May. Now, May is a character that if you watched my reviews for the movie, you would know that overall, I do like the character of May. I think she's interesting. I think there's something about her that makes you want to know more about her and enjoy her role in the story. But I think there's a lot more to her character that we haven't gotten to see explored yet. And that is what I want to see in the next movie. I think that the next Planet of the Apes, assuming that May is as much part of the story as she was in the last one, I think something that I really want to see, and I think we're going to see, is a bit deeper of a dive into who May is as a character. I think we're going to learn more about her past. I think we're going to learn more about where she comes from, what her ultimate goals are, more about who she is personally, what her personality is like. I think we're going to get to see her and Noah, or at least I hope we get to see her and Noah get to interact a little bit more on a personal basis. And these are the things that I really want to see for the character. As much as I enjoyed her, and as much as I do think that she was set up with some interesting potential and does tap into that potential a bit in the first movie, I think they can go further. I think they can do more with her, and I just want to see all that mystery about this character that was set up in the first film really come to the forefront, really be brought into the spotlight. And I want to know more about her backstory. I want to know more about who she is as a person. So the next thing I want to see from this movie is to get a bit more of a deep dive into the character of May. And the final thing that I would love to see in the next Planet of the Apes movie is a more personal villain. While one of the highlights of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes for me was Proximus Caesar as the villain of the movie, I thought he was great. I thought he was a lot of fun, and I loved the way they tapped into the idea of a character who bends and warps history to fit his own personal gain, to do what he wants with it, to rule his own version of ape society. I liked how that was used. I think Kevin Durand gave a great performance, and I think overall he served his purpose well in the story that was told. I do wish we'd gotten more of him, which I've said multiple times, but what we got from him I was really satisfied with. That being said, some of my favorite villains of all time have always been the ones that have a much more personal one-on-one connection with the main protagonist. Characters that have a connection to the main hero in one way or another, whether it's a character like Koba from Dawn of the Planet of the Apes or a character like the iconic Darth Vader from Star Wars, of course. But there are so many villains that I think are great because of that personal connection, because you are able to invest in them because of their connection to the main character, but also because of the way they're developed on their own. And that's something I'd love to see. I want to see a villain in the next movie that Noah has some sort of personal relation to, that is an antagonist to Noah on a bit more of a personal level beyond just he took my family, which is what we got in Kingdom. So I don't know whether it's going to be an ape or a human. I have a feeling it's going to be a human villain because we've switched back and forth with every one of these movies. But regardless of whether it's ape or human, I think the ideal type of villain would be someone who is a bit more fleshed out, has a bit more depth to them, and we have a bit more of an understanding, and someone who we as an audience can have a bit more of a personal connection to in regards to how they play into the story and how they relate to Noah as a main character. And that is why it is something that I would love to see in the next Planet of the Apes movie. So those were the 5 things that I want to see happen in the next Planet of the Apes movie. I want to know your thoughts on my suggestions down below. Let me know what you think of all of them. If there are any that stood out that you really liked, let me know. If there are any that you don't think are a very good idea, let me know that as well. If there are any ideas that you have, or if there's anything that you really want to see in the next movie, comment that down in the comments below. Thank you so much for checking out today's video here on Ape Nation. If you liked this video, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so that you can stay up to date on all things apes. I'll catch you in the next one, so until then, goodbye.